If you have maxed out credit cards and you want to finally get out of debt in 2026, in this live stream, I'm going to show you guys how to pay off your cards the best way possible. So there's no edits, no cuts. It's just straight live stream as you see right here. And bear with me, I kind of had a hard time setting this up. So this had me in like a chokehold for a minute, but I'm gonna give you guys straight value game and just give you it all for everything that I know because all these steps that I'm gonna go over is stuff that I've actually done personally, so I know they actually work. So first things first, if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing because at the end of the day, this is exactly the type of stuff they don't teach us in school. Let me do a quick audio check real quick. Consider subs- Bet that's all I need. So if you are watching the replay, let me know where you guys are from. I'm gonna try to do more live streams like this and just keep everything straight organic and just allows me to make more videos a lot faster as well. So I do have some notes here as well. So I'm just gonna go over some of the stuff that I came up with and get straight into it. So again, at the end of the day, when it comes to maxed out credit cards, the biggest thing that sucks is that typically when they're maxed out and you're only making the minimum payment due, it literally makes it impossible to pay the cards off because of the interest rate is so dang high. That's what makes it so hard with these credit cards because when the minimum payment due, you make that same minimum payment every single month, but the interest is so dang high to where when you're only paying the minimum interest, it literally does nothing to the full balance. So it's like you're literally just paying this on this card and nothing's going on with it. Um, so the first thing, I mean, that's basically what it is. That's like the biggest problem that it comes down to is like the interest rate. Um, So the first thing I want to cover though is ChatGPT, and I already made a video on this as well. So if you want to watch the video, you could do that. But obviously the live stream, if you have questions, I can literally answer it while I'm on stream. But when it comes to ChatGPT, the reason why I say ChatGPT is one of the best ways to pay off your credit card debt because sometimes people don't know where to start. Like, so for example, if you have like 4, 5, or 6 different credit cards that are completely maxed out, some people don't know how much to pay towards each card. They don't know the interest rate on their card. And literally, they don't know anything that's going on with the details. So I always say go to ChatGPT, um, and ChatGPT organizes every single detail for you, down to the exact payment you need to make for each card, your interest rate APR, and it's gonna provide you with the best way to pay your cards down if you want to save the most money. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the making the actual payments and the interest rates, ChatGPT would do all the math for you and take out all of the guesswork. So that way you literally don't have to do any work at all, really. So basically, the way it works is you just simply go to ChatGPT and then you're gonna type in, "I want to be able to pay off my high interest credit cards," and tell them the exact cards that you have. So, for example, you want to provide them with the name of the card. You want to provide them with the balance that's on the card that you actually owe. Then you also want to provide ChatGPT with the actual credit limit for each card. And then also number 4, you want to provide it with the actual APR for each credit card. Providing these details is going to be major because this is going to allow ChatGPT to categorize each card and actually provide you with the information you need to be able to pay them down. So when I did it specifically, um, I provided those 4 things to ChatGPT, and it would literally ask you like what route do you want to take at the end of the day to pay off your cards. And really it comes down to 2 different methods. The first one's going to be the snowball effect, which I'm probably sure a lot of you've already heard of. And then the second one is going to be the avalanche method. And then I'm going to kind of break those down too, just to kind of let you know in on the difference as well. So the snowball method to be able to pay debt is basically where you're essentially paying the smallest balance credit card down first, And the reason why it's called like the snowball effect is because you're basically paying down a card and then you're moving on to the next bigger card, kind of like a snowball going down a hill. As it gets down further, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you're paying off more debt once you go down to each card. So, for example, let's say you have a card that has a $500 balance, you have a card that has a $1,000 balance, and then you have another card with a $1,500 balance. You're basically going to pay the lowest balance first, which is that $500 card. And then right after you're done paying that one off, you're going to go on to the next card, which is going to be the, what I say, the next balance one, basically. Um, but also, guys, if you have questions, make sure to put them in the comments because on the live streams, this is where I'm going to be able to actually answer your questions versus on a pre-recorded video. And then also don't forget to put down where you're at as well if you're watching the replay, because I know after the live stream is done, YouTube's going to promote it to other people, hopefully. But so that's the snowball method. The second way to pay down your debt is going to be what's called the avalanche method. And this payment method, the way it works is you're basically paying the highest interest rate card. So with the snowball method, you're paying the lowest balance card first. But with the avalanche method, you're basically paying the card with the highest interest rate. So no matter the balance on the actual card, you're just going to specifically target the card that has the highest interest rate first. And mathematically, when you do it this way, you're technically saving the most amount of money because, again, the highest interest card is going to basically be the one costing you the most money. So if you pay this one off first, you're going to long term basically save you more money because it's not going to be costing you as much once it's paid off. So, for example, let's say you have a Capital One card with like $3,000 on it and it has a 29% interest rate. And maybe you have other cards that might have a higher balance or lower balance, but they have lower interest rates. Say, for example, one's like 25%, the other one's like 23%. With the avalanche method, you're basically going to target the card that has the 29% APR rate because it has that highest interest rate. So that's what the avalanche method it basically is you're actually targeting the card with the highest interest rate. So that's the second thing. And let's see what else I got here. So ChatGPT. And another thing, like at the end of the day, when it comes down to like how you actually want to pay off the card, both of these two methods, like, is going to be good either way. Like at the end of the day, it just really comes down to like what your end goal is. Like if you want to be able to use the snowball method and just get some cards knocked out with the smallest balances first, hey, like so be it. Like that might be your route. But if you want to save the most money, the avalanche method might be the best route for you because, like I said, you're going to be targeting that card with the highest interest rate first, which will technically save you the most money. The only thing with the avalanche method is it might take you a little bit longer to pay off your first card because typically the cards with the highest interest rates have the highest balances. So even though you're targeting that card with the highest interest rate, it might take you longer to pay that card off versus if you just did the snowball method and you targeted the card that's super low balance, like 200, $500 or whatever it is like that. So yeah, it basically just depends on your situation. Like neither of these are wrong. So like at the end of the day, when you go to ChatGPT and you explain all the details of your card, like I said, those 4 things that I told you to mention, it'll give you different options and like which way is better for your position. And you can provide it more context on like, your specific situation. So like, for example, say you're trying to buy a house within the next year or you want to buy a car within the next 6 months, make sure you're providing ChatGPT with as much detail as possible because the more context you can actually provide it with, that's going to be able to allow it to actually work with you and provide you with the best information and best payoff plan at the end of the day. So just like I said, once you do that route, provide it with as much context as possible. Can you increase the credit limit as well? Yeah, if you do the credit limit increase, that'll definitely help with the interest rate too, just because once you do the credit limit increase, your interest rate could fluctuate as well. That could help you out. The second strategy, this is another one that I use too, that helped me a lot, and it's balance transfer cards. So the way that this one works is you're basically applying for a card with the 0% APR, a decent credit limit. But the biggest thing you want to look for is that it's not charging you any interest for a certain period of time when you actually get that card. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're taking the high limit, high balance credit cards that you have, and you're transferring those balances to the balance transfer card. And the reason why that's a good idea to do is because you're not getting charged any interest at all. So instead of keeping all your debt on all your old cards and just having this high interest where you're making the minimum payments and they're not getting paid off, when you're transferring them to the balance transfer card, it allows you to pay off the debt a lot faster because it's not charging you interest. So that's why that's a good route. That's another thing that I did too. Um, the other thing you want to look for is like with this route, you kind of do have to have like a decent credit score though. So like if you have at least a minimum like 690, preferably like 700 plus, this is going to be a good route for you because you're going to actually be able to get approved for the card. Um because technically like if you don't have good credit or your credit's kind of low, if you try to apply for a balance transfer card, you actually might get denied for it. So if you're not in a position to get approved for a balance transfer card, I would say just try to better your situation as much as possible. So that way you can do this route and get approved for a decent credit card that's a balance transfer card. And a good one is the City Simplicity card. I know the last time I checked, the 0% APR for this one was like 18 months. So if you do get that card and qualify for it, um, that could be a good card that you can actually get approved for and transfer your balances. The next card, this is another one that I like too, is the Navy Federal Platinum card. This is another one that I kind of got approved for recently. This is another balance transfer card. And the thing that I like about this one is the last time I checked, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like either 12 months or 15 months where it's 0% APR. So that's solid. The only thing with the Navy Federal is you do have to be a Navy Federal member to actually get approved for this card. But I do have another video where you can look at to basically how to get approved for a Navy Federal membership. And yeah, do that. Essentially, you just have to basically be in the military, or you have to have like family or a roommate that has a Navy Federal membership. That's another little hack that I kind of looked into is like, say, for example, you live in an apartment, you have a roommate, and your roommate is a Navy Federal member. As long as you guys live at the same exact address, you would literally qualify to get a Navy Federal membership. Um, so there's different ways that they're willing to work with you to become a member. Yeah, so that's basically how the balance transfer cards work. Like I said, definitely do your own research on this one because the offers on these do change from time to time. And like I said, you do kind of have to have like a decent credit score. It doesn't have to be perfect though. Like you don't have to have like a perfect 850 credit score to be able to get approved for a balance transfer card. But the next strategy we're going to talk about, you kind of do have to have like pretty good credit for this one. Like I would say excellent status, like 725 and up. And this one is getting a debt consolidation loan. Um, so basically, just to explain what a debt consolidation loan is in simplest terms, it's basically where you're getting approved for kind of like a personal loan to essentially pay off your high balance credit cards. This is another way that you can save a lot of money. I'm gonna be honest, because say for example, you have like 4 to 5 maxed out credit cards that are charging you 25, 29% interest APR. If you're able to take this loan and pay off all those credit cards with that loan, And then that would essentially turn your payment into just one payment per month. And typically, like I said, depending on your credit score, that's going to dictate your monthly payment as well and your interest rate you're going to get for the loan. Because when you apply for a debt consolidation loan, they definitely are going to check your credit beforehand. And when they approve you, that's when they're going to show you what your actual interest rate's going to be. So typically with this, you definitely want to be like under 10%, like low as you can get, honestly. Anything over like 9%, 10% is going to be considered pretty high. But like I said, with this one, depending on your credit score, is where it's really going to come in clutch. Like I said, if you have really good credit, the debt consolidation loan is going to be another good route for you to be able to pay off your debt. But yeah, so that's how it works. So those are the 3 steps. Like I said, step 1, use ChatGPT if you want to be able to create a debt repayment plan. This is going to be one of the best ways to do it. Step 2, the balance transfer cards. This one's clutch because you don't necessarily have to have the most perfect credit score. Minimum, like I said, 680, but preferably you want to be over 700. And then the third one is the debt consolidation loan. Like I said, this one you definitely want to have excellent credit because, when you're getting this loan, you want to have that best interest rate you can possibly get. So with the debt consolidation loan, I would even estimate or prefer like 725 and up. So if you have like 725 and up, that's where I would probably look into that. So those will be the 3 steps to pay off your high balance credit cards in 2026. And then if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. And I'm going to do another live stream and hopefully be able to answer some of your guys' questions and help you out with this. But like I said, I'm still trying to mess with this live stream. It took me a while to like actually figure this out. I'm not going to lie. It's had me in a chokehold. But yeah, that's all I have for now. So leave a comment, subscribe if you're new to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe because at the end of the day, this is exactly the type of information they didn't teach us in school. So other than that, if you want to catch the next stream,